the chief of the Choctaw Indians, who had experienced that terrible, terrible trail of tears, where they traveled literally hundreds of miles in terrible winter weather, in the heat of summer, and many of them lost their lives in that terrible, tragic trail of tears. And despite all their suffering and pain, when they heard of the Irish potato famine, the chief of the Choctaw Indians found his way to go and meet the Taoiseach of Ireland and offer what little monetary gift they had, trying to bring some consolation and comfort to the country of Ireland in this very terrible time of loss. And so it says today in the Word of God, my ways are not your ways, and your ways are not my ways. But what really are God's ways? God's way is compassion. God's way is love. God's way is forgiveness and mercy. And sometimes we get caught up in ourselves and we get jealous, or we get upset with somebody and we can't forgive them. We can't say some word of compassion or kindness. And yet, what better way do we have to remember our brothers and sisters who lost their lives in this tragic event? I am sure that they would want us to continue in the way so many of them lived long before the famine. And even in the midst of the famine, what few potatoes they might have been able to reap, no one kept it to themselves. They shared what little they had with each other to help each other in any way they could. And so today, our best way to continue to remember them is to be people of compassion and kindness and goodness. And I'm so mindful, when I came to the central area some 36 years ago, my whole first year, I think, was spent in the House of Wills, burying so many people. And on one occasion, I was there in the funeral home. It was just jam-packed with people. A lot of emotions, a lot of people crying over the death of this young person that had died because of a drug overdose. And prior to that, was so sick. And in the midst of all these people, this little old lady walked up the aisle, holding a hot bowl of soup. And she put it on a little pedestal next to this man's casket. And you can imagine what people were thinking. You know, she must have lost a little bit of her mental capacity. She's a little bit off-center. And to be bringing a bowl of soup into a funeral home on the occasion of the death. And she turned around and looked at them all. She said, when he was sick, this is the only thing that brought him comfort, was a little bit of my soup. And I went there day after day until he died. And most of you, I never saw at all while he was ill. So my dear brothers and sisters, if our brother here can smell your flowers, he can eat my soup. And I thought, what words of wisdom. And what compassion and love she had. So if there's anything we take away today, as we remember those that died in that terrible tragedy of the famine, that we might be people of compassion, reaching out, helping others to find their way. But it calls us to be people of generosity and not jealousy, people of peace and not anguish, people of joy and not unhappiness. And so as we continue this celebration in memory of our dear brothers and sisters who lost their lives in that terrible potato famine, may we be grateful for the blessings we all have. We don't suffer from that. We have food. We have plenty of everything in life you can eat. And now it's just to be mindful of all those who don't have it. And that hunger, maybe not as vast or as great as the potato famine, is still with us in so many ways. So may God fill you with His joy, His mercy, His peace, and His goodness. And remember, if He can drink my soup, and if He can smell your flowers, He can drink my soup.